and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, this is a one-item agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Andy, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jeannie. All in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All approved, thank you. The action item is the addendum to the superintendent's contract. I'd entertain a motion to approve the addendum to the contract.
Move to approve the addendum to the superintendent's contract.
Motion by Andy.
I'll second.
I have a question. A little loud. Actually, I have two questions.
Okay,
One, my first question is, Peggy, as the board president, you work with Matt to schedule the agenda.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You work as board president to plan the agenda. You're in charge of the agenda items.
Okay,
And then you work with Matt to draft his employment contract as well. So my question is, you wrote the contract and you write the agenda. How are we here needing an addendum because the deadlines for the evaluations that were due January 31st were missed? And then tomorrow, the evergreen clause goes into effect. I think, we need to know how that was overlooked. My second question is this. Since I was sworn in as a board member in November, at every meeting or almost every meeting during my board member report, I have commented that Matt was working on an expired contract that expired June 30th, and that we needed to address that as a board, that it's a concern that we need to protect Matt, and as a board, we need to protect the district. And I would like to know why nobody thought I needed to be corrected in that misinformation. Like, oh, no, there was a new contract executed in May, and here's that information. You could have emailed me after a meeting, or you could have corrected me during the meeting. And to me, that seems very disingenuous, and I would like to know why I wasn't given accurate information.
you want to know why you weren't told he had a 3-year contract?
Right.
Why didn't you ask? I mean, Lisa, sorry. You had asked for so many contracts when you were doing your records request before you even got on the board. You had already asked for his contracts.
That's true, I did. And
You
I was
did.
given a copy of the contract that was good through June
Right.
30th, 2021.
I would assume that you probably had, if you had wanted to know what his contract was, you should have probably asked.
And when I said at every board meeting, Matt's contract expired June 30th, and he's working on a 1-year extension.
I've never heard you say he's working on a 1-year extension.
And I said, we need to address this
Yeah.
because it's an issue for our liability as a district. And it's an issue for Matt because he's working without a contract. I should have been given accurate information and told, no, we executed a contract in May, and here's that contract.
No,
And that contract is nowhere to be found in a board packet, and it's nowhere mentioned in an agenda. There's no way anyone could look up that information and find it. I think I should have been given accurate information or just said, what are you talking about? He's got a new contract. Here it is. That's a fair question.
okay. Thank you for sharing that you feel offended. If you had requested some specific information, I never heard you ask for specific information, or I would have provided it. You very rarely respond to me at all when I ask you if you need information. So I'm not buying it. I'm not going to take the blame for that, Elisa. If you want information, you need to learn to ask appropriately for information. Period. You've got, you know how to ask for information appropriately. And anytime you ask for information, I feel like I've tried to provide it. I know Matt has tried to provide it. People in his office have tried to provide it. You need to open your mouth and ask for information if you really want it. I'm not going to buy in that we have shut you out or not provided you information that you thought we should have provided you or known to provide for you. Anything you've ever asked from me, I have provided for you.
Am I the only one that didn't know that there was a new contract on the
And-
board?
Andy, have I not ever provided anything that you've asked for me to provide you?
You, Greg, Matt, whoever I needed to speak to, yes.
Thank you. Jeannie?
I was aware of this contract.
And how did you become aware of it?
I think when we were doing a rating system for Matt before you guys came on the board.
Okay.
Mhm.
Have you ever asked for me for anything that I have not provided to you?
Peggy, in every meeting since November, I've commented on Matt's expired contract, using verbatim that language.
At
Matt's
this point, I
working
was
on an
asking Jason,
expired
but that's
contract.
okay.
Oh,
Oh,
I was
didn't-
unaware.
Jason, have you ever asked me, have you ever emailed, text me, or called me and asked me for anything that I have not been able to provide for you, or have at least gone out and tried to find somebody that could get that answer for you?
No, but I would say I have a ton of other issues that came about because of this.
But at this point, I want to just ask an answer to that question. Have I ever not tried to answer a question that you've asked me specifically?
No,
Okay, thank you.
I would just like to remind the board that being that it is a special board meeting, the
Thank you.
conversation is supposed to be limited to the addendum.
All right, thank you. We'll go back, we'll stick to what the agenda is about then. All right. So moving back to that, our agenda is very specific tonight. It's the addendum to the superintendent's contract. We had a motion on the table by Andy, seconded by Jeannie. Is there any additional questions about the addendum?
yes.
Okay,
So the reason we're here today is because we were giving a evaluation and contract at our last regular board meeting last Wednesday.
Okay.
That was a surprise to me also. And I admit I did not ask for the exact contract that Matt was running on, but what did happen, and this addendum is addressing the fact that, you know, as a president, you should, basically you brought forth an evaluation and contract that basically put the board behind the eight ball. Because if we would have went consistent with what the contract language read, it automatically renewed without any vote, whether we voted for it or not. And I think that's a problem, and it's a consistent problem.
And I think it's, I don't want to
Oh,
interrupt
go
you.
ahead.
It's not just renew. It automatically adds an additional year to the term. So right now it's through June 2024. If no action was taken, it goes to June 2025.
Correct. So I think what transpired last Wednesday, we've asked, and I think I've asked, I know Elisa's asked multiple times prior to last meeting that we needed to do the evaluation. And then we get the evaluation and it has to be done and voted on by tomorrow, or it automatically adds a year, whether we want to or not. And that's beside the point. So it really put us behind the eight ball, and that's why we're here today having another meeting. And I think that's a problem. In addition to that, I would think, part of our policies are to fill new directors in with all the adequate information according to policy 112, that I did send a copy to you. I sent you an email about it that lists an entire list of stuff that's set by policy that we should get as new board members. And it's not just elected, but it's appointed as well. And I think because we're not following certain policies, this slipped through the cracks. And I think that's the reason we are here today.
I'm sorry, I'll discuss for a moment. Something's gone weird with the Zoom. I'm going to need to reset. We're not actually,
Okay.
no one's joining and the number's off. So please give me just 5 minutes.
Okay,
Thank you.
So we should take a recess. I move that we take a 10-minute recess to adjust the Zoom.
Second.
Golden?
I think, yeah, we're golden.
We're back. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, Jason, go ahead. Also, you're referring to the policy that was developed in 2000, is that correct? Thank you. Go ahead. You have more that you want to add to that?
No, I pretty much said my piece.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else have something they'd like to add to the discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the addendum to the superintendent's contract, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. So all yes. Thank you. Future meeting is the study session on March 16th. That will be in the Prosser High School Library Workroom at 7 o'clock. Meeting is adjourned.